Welcome, everybody. The NFL season is over, which means it's time to look forward to the NFL offseason, and that includes mock drafts. Today, we'll be looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars and the 2023 NFL Draft. The Jaguars are up on our 2023 NFL mock draft series. They have pick number 24 in the NFL draft. As things currently sit, they did make the playoffs. They did have that awesome comeback against the Chargers before losing to the Chiefs, but a lot to build on for Doug Peterson and the Jaguars for the future, especially getting to see Trevor Lawrence progress in his second season in the NFL. We're going to be using the NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator as we go through this. This one is one I like because the players who are in the draft are in the draft. The ones who are going back to college are out. And they also continually update the big board based on what other people in the industry are saying. So it kind of makes it more real. There will be players who slide that is kind of like unrealistic. But at the end of the day, I do like the simulator. We're going to be rejecting all trades with this one too. We're still before free agency as we go through it. And it just makes more sense just to reject trades, give a more real idea of what they could do with the picks they currently have. So let's get this thing started at pick number 24. Actually recording this right after Calvin Ridley just got reinstated, so that does open up some things for the Jaguars moving forward. As you can see, Will Levis is probably not going to be at pick 24 for the Jaguars. Not that the Jaguars would consider that anyway, with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. But we're going to go with Cam Smith, the corner out of South Carolina. Some doubts about his athleticism, but he does have a really good demeanor in playing the position. The Jaguars said they're going to move on from Shaq Griffin, get another corner in there across from Tyson Campbell. That'll really help your team moving forward. And again, we'll reject all these trades, and then we'll go to the next pick here. Luke Musgrave would be a pretty good pick. It looks like they're going to franchise tag Evan Ingram. So they probably don't need a tight end, even though Evan Ingram plays more, not much of a tight end position that we're usually kind of used to with the inline tight ends. Musgrave is a good receiver as well. Could probably be a better blocker, but he hasn't shown to be a great one yet at the college level. So we'll keep on scrolling and see if we can find something a little bit better. Let's go with Cody Mock, the interior offensive lineman from North Dakota State. He actually played left tackle at North Dakota State, but is a candidate to move inside. Here's the good news. I guess if you don't bring back Jawan Taylor at right tackle, Mock can play right tackle. If not, you move him inside. He improves the interior offensive line as we go forward here. Let's go to pick number 88, and let's go with Chris Smith II out of Georgia. Had a lot of experience on those Georgia defenses over the last couple of years. A guy who I don't think is athletically as gifted as some of the other safeties in this class, but I think he can provide a role, maybe slide in next to Andre Sisco, or at least provide depth along the safety spot here at pick number 88. Now that we have gotten the one lineman, I think it might be okay to take Tucker Kraft here, the tight end out of South Dakota State. He's a guy who helped South Dakota State win the FCS championship this past year, and I think could be a pretty good guy down the road. You franchise tag Evan Ingram. If he doesn't come back, you slide in Tucker Kraft there next year. All right, the couple guys I really like here. So I think Julius Brents is a guy, if you didn't get Cam Smith, maybe you pick. He's a good outside guy. Really, really tall corner. And I think Byron Young's going to be the pick here, defensive line. Try to get some depth on the defensive line. It's an area of need. Byron Young's not going to really make a huge impact, but I think he can be a rotational defensive lineman that can provide some value moving forward and kind of do what he's expected to do, kind of how Alabama teaches it down there on their defensive line. So we are moving on to pick number 185. They still think we need an offensive tackle. I mean, Jawan Taylor, his decision in free agency could affect things. Cody Mock could play outside. He could play inside. So it's not as bad of a need, but we probably should get an offensive lineman at some point. Edge rusher for just depth, linebacker for depth could be something we look at. Another wide receiver for depth, even with Calvin Ridley being reinstated. But let's see what tackles are still here. See if there's one that's within the range. Let's go Jackson Kirkland, the offensive tackle from Washington. A lot of experience at Washington over the years. A guy who I think you can feel pretty satisfied with getting this late in the draft. And now you can kind of just take who you think is the best player available if you're the Jaguars. For me, I would not personally take a kicker here. So I would go for a different position, just kind of my feeling on things with this specialist class. Let's go Charlie Jones, the wide receiver out of Purdue. He ran a faster 40 time than I expected, but he had a heck of a year for Purdue. Aiden Connell's favorite target. I think he could be a pretty good route runner. We'll do that. And then we'll go Evan Hull, the running back out of Northwestern. Really had a good season, both catching the football and running the football for Northwestern. I think he can provide a different spark behind Travis Etienne on that defense. And we're going to go to the pick number 228, which is their last of the draft. I'd like to get an edge rusher before we leave here. So let's go Jose Ramirez. He had a really good season at Eastern Michigan last year. A guy who will be fighting for a roster spot. I think could really provide some value as a rotational guy to start, if he makes the roster, that is, and can maybe develop into something down the road. So let's look at the draft we had overall. So Cam Smith can kind of help take over when Shaq Griffin has moved on across from Tyson Campbell. Two different types of corners, which I think actually helps you with different matchup problems that you might face throughout the year. Cody Mock, will he play tackle? Will he play guard? That's for the Jaguars, and I guess Jawan Taylor to decide if he's still there. Either way, you get a pretty good offensive lineman in their second round. I think that's really good for the Jaguars right now. Chris Smith, you get a safety who I do like. I think he's very instinctual. I think that's good for your safeties. Tucker Kraft, the South Dakota State tight end. Helps fill in for Evan Ingram if Evan Ingram does not stay past this franchise tag year, or if he decides he doesn't want to play on the tag, or whatever happens with that. But Tucker Kraft could be a guy down the line who could be pretty productive coming out at the FCS level. Byron Young, just the guy who kind of does what is expected of him along the defensive line. It's kind of what you want out of your rotational defensive lineman. Jackson Kirkland for offensive tackle for more depth on that offensive line. Charlie Jones could be a pretty good slot receiver at the next level. Evan Hall, guy who can catch out of the backfield and run. And then Jose Ramirez, who had a big year at Eastern Michigan this past year. Overall, I like the draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The good news is they spent in free agency last year to make their year this year easier with the draft. We'll see if they add more free agents to kind of give more clarity about what positions they might target. But I do like this one overall. Let me know what you think of this mock draft in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more mock drafts. We'll be doing them through the 2023 NFL Draft. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see everyone next time.